Greetings everyone, this is Fernando from Moonspel. You're listening to Tinnitus Metal Radio. Rock on!
We're here at Headbangers Balls Fest in Izegem with someone from Moonspel. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Fernando, the lead singer from Moonspel.
Lisboa Under The Spell came out last year. Was there a special occasion and how did you choose the concept for the live album?
Well, Lisboa Under The Spell was a very big project for Moonspel. We didn't have that many live albums in our career, just a few things in bonus, and we had the Lusitanian metal many years ago that we recorded in Poland. So it was time to do something that will document the true sense of Moonspel, which is to be a live band. You know, being on tour made all the difference in the world for us when we released Wolfheart back in '95. We wanted to record in our capital, Lisbon, because we have obviously a great history together with Lisbon. And it's also, when you come from the suburbs like Moonspel, you feel like, well, you'll never make it to your capital. So it was quite good that we had this packed show and everybody was there. Many people from Portugal, but also lots of people came from many countries, a couple of Belgian people there at least. And it was a cool release. People really liked it because it's very complete. Obviously, it's very hard to choose for us as well, but we try to not only celebrate the 25th anniversary of the band with that album by presenting the music that laid our foundations as a band, which is hands down Wolfheart and Irreligious, but also the Extinct record, which was the last album besides 1755 that also represents a more modern phase of Moonspel many years after. So I think it was quite complete. It was quite hard for the band to do all this little over 3-hour show. It takes a lot of preparation, but I think it's a very cool release. It feels like old school. It's triple, and people get to a lot of music. You know, I don't know anyone that probably sit down and listen through the whole thing, but it's a nice experience because it's 3 of our most important albums. Yeah.
Did it give you extra stress that it was recorded live in its entirety? It was also filmed because it is a 3-disc release, 3 CDs, a DVD and a Blu-ray.
Well, as everybody else stresses, the band tries not to stress. Obviously, everything, I mean, our crew was amazing, our audience was amazing, but we knew very well that everything depended on us in the way that we will deal exactly with the stress, with everybody calling us, you know, with the crews fighting video over audio. So we kept it cool because we knew it wasn't just a day. For us, it was a long process that it's on the documentary that started off with us filming ourselves back in our homes and at our studio, just for people to get the hang of the process. And then when you go to the show, it's just you do the show and then it's going to be recorded for posterity. But as far as I'm concerned, on the night of the show, I was already thinking about something else. I think it was really important to document this. It was done. There was a process then of, you know, choosing the covers, etc. But that's fun. You know, I listened to the mixes, but we made it that it run very smooth in a way, because we know that especially for the technical crew, it will be a very challenging day, so we had a lot of patience. Basically, we didn't stop. We arrived in the morning and played the live rehearsal for the shots, camera shots, etc. So we were basically, when we went on stage, we were completely already warmed up. So it was just the question of now it's with the crowd. Yeah.
Your last full-length studio album, 1755, is a concept album about the great earthquake that hit Lisbon. Was it a big challenge for you to concentrate on one theme?
Well, to be honest, we were quite fascinated about this theme, so it wasn't a big problem. Actually, 1755, by all means, was not really supposed to be the album that we would release after Extinct, not musically speaking. But we just got the hang of it. We got inspired, and the story, unveiled really well. I did a lot of research. There was a fact of writing in Portuguese about Portugal history, which is one of our favorite themes. So the fact that it came together as an album was also very surprising for us. But we really loved it. We really liked it. We didn't expect that it had much the response it had, especially outside Portugal and Brazil. But people really like it because metal fans and history, and it was a different thing. Also, a band talking about a different subject than the regular, war or mythology in metal, and people really embraced it. So it wasn't that hard. Actually, it was. I want to say it was easy, but when you are involved, things find a way. So that's why we made the album, and we made it really quick. But we never really considered it. We considered it more as a one-off album, like a project that eventually ended up in an album, and that got response enough from the fans that to tour all around the world, and for them to really tap into the experience of us writing a full album in Portuguese, because they were not really expecting it. It was not announced. It was just, that it is, and people liked it. Yeah.
Last year you released the "I'll See You Again in My Dreams" EP. You recorded the song years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Is there a special story or reason behind the release on vinyl?
Well, first it's released on our own label, Alma Mater Records. So we kind of take care of some of repertoire and unreleased stuff from Moonspel, because many of our fans have become collectors. So they know a lot of stuff that sometimes it's not even in our radar. So we just try to tap and to do interesting stuff, because vinyl has always been something we have all grown with. So for us, it's still cool. It still reminds us of the old times when we used to collect the LPs. This song is one-off song we did for a zombie movie in Portugal. We have a video clip. It was an old song. It never came out as a bonus. Yeah, 2003, around the antidote times. A piano player from Portugal, jazz piano player. He's really famous in Portugal. His name is Felipe Mel, but he's a very huge horror movies fan. He actually directed 2 of our video clips already, Lycanthrope and this one, I'll See in My Dreams. So we just had that song there, and we like to, on Halloween, because we love so much Type O Negative, they always celebrate Halloween, so Moonspel kind of tries to keep the tradition. Either we play live, that was the case, or either we have a special release that is horror themed. So it was the case with I'll See My Dreams. It's just a 7 single, but it's sold out.
Bit the same story, I guess, for Scorpion Flower. That was recorded in 2008 on the album Night Eternal, but it was also re-released this year.
Yes, it's true. It's also through Alma Mater. The thing that sometimes people don't understand is that being a musician, a metal musician, is great, but there's all these, behind-the-scenes things with the industry that sometimes you just get the short stick. So that was a bit the case with albums like Night Eternal and Memorial. SPV bankrupt, and the fans couldn't get the albums. The album was sold out. They couldn't get it on CD, they couldn't get it on LP, they couldn't get it on digital. And I find this very bizarre and very funny, because everybody complains to me that records don't sell. And when I say, but people want to buy it. So maybe you just add 2 + 2 and you make the record available. So one of our ex-labels, SPV, that released Memorial Night Eternal, was very, very cool. They passed us the rights, so we could do a band edition, because I like to, Moonspel is obviously quite special for us, and it's great that someone involved with the band can pick up these releases, because I have access to many things, bonus songs, etc., that other people don't have. So it's going great. People really liked it. We released a very beautiful vinyl as well, totally special edition with all the songs we recorded. We're not that kind of label that wants to make like 3, 4, 5 editions with one different song. and came out well. Yeah, we have more plans. Same for Scorpion Flowers, never been released on vinyl, and people loved it. Yeah.
When can the fans hope for a new album? Will that be on Alma Mater or will it be on Napalm?
It will be on Napalm. We're still a Napalm band. Alma Mater Records is something we do for the old repertoire of Moonspel and also to distribute our music in Portugal, because we worked with multinationals in Portugal, and we were not enjoying it. You know, they were talking about problems that for a metal band are not problems. You know, we don't like to waste time, so that's one of the reasons we form our own label, but not to release Moonspel so far. Maybe there will be the time sometime, but not really. So our new album is going to be very different. It's picking up from Extinct, not from 1755. So we're kind of writing down the album already. We have like 6 songs ready, and yeah, we love what we are doing because it's very melancholic, very existentialist, very different from what we did. But the difference is always something that people will expect with Moonspel. But we're having lots of fun doing it because we love to songwrite, and I think the albums will be coming out. We're gonna record in 2020. We're in no rush, and for sure it's coming out on 220. We will definitely like to spend a lot of work on this album. We start the summer festival season here. We still have a few shows, but in between all the shows, etc., we are going to always be at the studio recording and constructing the new album.
Is this the first show that you're actually doing in 2019?
It is, yeah. I hope it doesn't suck, yeah. Well, since '95, we never had a real break. So in order also to do some work for the album, you know, we toured so much for Extinct, and then 1755 came up. We were not expecting to tour so much, but we did. And also we have a final tour for this run with Rotting Christ in starting off from October. So we kind of took these 3 months, well, not to rest, but to also to organize a little bit our lives, to be with our families. But in the end of the day, we were working hard on the album. So yeah, it's our stage comeback will be today, and we're very excited because you know, this festival, we've been hearing a lot of anticipation for Moonspel, something we always find hard to believe because people. It's been a while since we played in Belgium, not like 5 years, but 1 year maybe, or a bit more, and people miss us, and I think that's a great feeling. Yeah.
When you play at a festival like Headbangers Balls Fest like today, how do you decide on a set list when you have so many CDs? On one hand, I guess there's people like me who want to hear the old school stuff mainly from stuff like Vampiria, etc. And then you have the people who come for like mainly the new albums and perhaps songs that are not released yet. Is it a group decision, or are you the one who decides, or?
I think it's definitely a group decision. I make a lot of the set lists because for me, obviously, I understand that there's some songs that are classics, you know, and people are always very afraid when they come to a show. Sometimes people come afraid that we don't play their favorite songs. I think that never happened with Moonspel because we play for long all the time, and we never really skipped. It's hard, but we never really skipped the true classics and evergreens. With Moonspel, but for me,
but you get more and more classics.
Let's see, but for me, it's all about the dynamics and the energy. I think a show is like a little bit of a theater play. It's very important what you play, obviously, but also it's not just a crowd-pleasing thing. You know, it's gonna probably. It's easy to come here and play 2 songs from 1755 and just, you know, throw the aces at the table. But I think that Moonspel show has always been something also for people to get involved with all the theatres, all the atmosphere, all the Lisbon going down thing. But I think our setlist will always be pretty balanced. So far on these tours, we'll not have a problem. Maybe we'll have that problem in 2020 when we do the new album, and let's see how it fits in. But as you say, as a musician, I can never guess the sensibility of people because it's definitely mixed. Some people say, for instance, "Oh, you guys are gonna do Vampiria again?" I say, "Yeah, it's one of our best songs." "Yeah, but you did it so many times," and then you know. And I think that's good because that's what keeps people coming to the shows as well. It's what you're gonna play. How is it going to be? But for me, I prefer like a great show with a bad set list than a shitty show where you're just crowd pleasing and playing your stuff. And because for me a show, it's, yeah, like I say, it's something else than just music, you know.
You mentioned the tour already with Rotting Christ that's starting in October. Is there a different approach for a show tonight and a show in October, or is it mainly the same?
Well, touring is different. In touring you get more time to prepare, you get in shape. So when you see a band on touring, if they are doing it well, like when you go to see the 8th, 10th, 8th, they're already a machine, you know, and it's very good to see bands in their prime. As far as festivals go, well, when we started to play festivals back in the day, it was a bit weird to switch from the clubs, you know, especially when you play daylight. But this festival, for me, it's like a big club gig for Moonspel. Gladly, people get more bands as well, like Dagobah, Enforcer, Ostrogoth, all. So it's always great to share, you know, the stage with these values. But for us, it's just, you know, we love to play live. When I play live, yeah, I switch a little bit, and it matters, but it doesn't really matter. I think that I have to do my stuff in a shit club, in a festival, in grass pop here. For me, of course, I have to adapt a little bit, but that doesn't matter. I think what matters is the show, what to deliver, and then how you are capable of reaching a small audience or a bigger audience. That's something that you also learn with, you know, with the experience. So basically, tonight we're very excited that we get to play live again. Because you know, it's for us, it's like escaping from the studio, which feels great. Yeah.
Your tour mates, Rotting Christ, are from Greece. If you would ask the average metalhead to name 10 Greek metal bands, most of them would probably not have a problem. Portuguese metal bands, on the other hand, that might be a bit more difficult. How's the metal scene like for the moment in Portugal? It's no secret that Moonspel is by far the biggest name, but even me, I would probably have to think a bit to find 10 names.
Well, yeah, I get this question a lot of times. It's still a sign that the Portuguese metal scene is not on people's radar, which is too bad. But I think the Portuguese musicians, the metal bands, have to think hard on how to get there. You know, of course, Moonspel was a big thing in Portugal, but we did it in '95, and since then, of course, we had bands like Evan Wood. We had bands that were coming out abroad as well, but they never really endured the test of time. And the stress and the wear that is to be on tour as well. You know, when you come from Portugal, you're very used to your mommy's food. And I think that getting out of that comfort zone was a big problem for many Portuguese bands. That said, I think we have a very cool scene these days. One of my roles in the Alma Mater Records is also to sign Portuguese bands, exactly to put them on the radar. So we released a very cool female-fronted death metal band. I call it female front because she's a girl. I hope I'm not offending anyone. Everyone is so politically correct, but she's a girl and she sings death metal. And called Occultist. I signed them because they had all the right things. They like Autopsy, they like Master, Abomination. So like, wow, you guys are so young, and you'll know this really cool stuff, Old Morbid Angel, etc. So they call Occultist. They always call Reinventing Evil. And we're releasing it on Alma Mater, and hopefully we are trying to put them on tour. And they already got a lot of cool response from Europe, big magazines, Revolver in the States. So next band we were gonna sign, it's already an older band called Iron Sword. They are more like Manila Road, you know, this kind of keep it true. They just, yeah. You're right, but instead of debating it, you know, I'm trying to do something about it, you know. And I think that with my experience, my connections, I think that there could be more bands, and there should be more bands also, because for us, you know, it's very frustrating. I mean, of course, touring with Greeks is like touring with brothers. But on the other hand, we never tour with Portuguese bands, or almost never, because it's hard for them to get across. Yeah.
And is there a kind of a crossover with the Brazilian scene, or not really?
No, actually, Brazil and Portugal are not as close as people think. You know, Portuguese people love Brazilian music. Brazilian people don't know Portuguese culture, or they don't know it that much. You know, they know the old stuff, so there's not really as you expected. For instance, we go there and we do well now in Brazil, especially since 1755. But there's much more people to see, like a German band or a Swedish band. So it's no different. There's no like cultural. There is a cultural connection. Our fans in Brazil are crazy about it, especially because we have the same language. But they're like more foreign bands, like everywhere, I think. Yeah.
Is Moonspel a full-time thing for most of the band members, or do you have all side jobs?
Oh no, actually we had side jobs back in the 90s and we were studying. But since we were religious, we started touring so much, being so much in the road, that we had to fully concentrate on Moonspel for long. Obviously, we have our other stuff, because just being in a band, you know, might drive you crazy. So you have to balance with other stuff. I have the label. I also have a book label, so I work with books, translating stuff as well. And the other guys, you know, we just live a life that we find it's balanced between doing Moonspel heavily, but also being with our family, doing some sports, you know, eat wisely, drink good beer and not bad. But in Belgium it's impossible to drink bad beer anyway, so it's all right.
I'll be quick, I have two more questions. If you would have to describe the 90s Moonspel with Moonspel 2019, what are, in your opinion, the biggest differences?
Well, I think it's age, you know, it's like the wines, you get mature, you know. Sometimes Portugal is very connected with red wine. We always say that wine gets better with age, but it also can get sour, you know. So we in the struggle not to get sour and not to get irrelevant, because there's so many bands, you know, there's so many people doing music, there's so many styles. Our own style, that is a mixture between metal and dark metal and gothic music nowadays, is totally dominated by female singers, which is cool, but it's just too much these days. So when I think about Moonspel from the 90s, I still feel that the struggling band effect is still there, and we still want to be creative. But obviously we are a very different band from the 90s, because you know, everything is different from the 90s. I mean, if we were stuck there, it will be like... But for me it was a wonderful time. As a musician, as a fan, was the happiest time of my life, because many of my favorite music was released back then. Yeah.
Last question. You have a very stable lineup. The newest band member joined in 2003, if I'm not mistaken. What's your secret?
We're friends. Actually, I have to say that sometimes I'm touring with other bands, and the other bands, which is many bands, which are basically two original guys, and the rest is just session. I think that's reality for many bands. You know, I don't know why. Well, I know it's hard, you know, to get a stable lineup. But in Moonspel, we always cultivated proximity, solving our problems together, not letting our egos get in the way of this big chance we have with Moonspel, especially coming from Portugal, as we were speaking about it. And on the other hand, we have strong connections that are outside music. Like I'm the godfather of our drummer's daughter. He's the godfather of my son. So yeah, I think there's no big secret, but true feelings, you know. And when you start thinking about numbers, about what you're doing, if this guy is down and probably gonna replace him with the hottest drummer in the scene, well, then it starts to be a business. And Moonspel is more of a band, and I couldn't see Moonspel without this lineup now. And we just had bad luck with the bass players, because if it wasn't for that, we'll be the same since Wolfhard, yeah, probably, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
But Aliás, até Medusa lá. Muito obrigado, Lisboa!